Hello again. I think it might be raining at one point soon. About time God went to the toilet, to be honest. So yeah, this time I'm going to talk about how the Bible explicitly talks about our identity with God. It's quite obvious. It's in some of the most well-known verses that everybody knows. You know, the Lord's Prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven. And the relationship of a father to his child is that they're the same thing. It's like my dad was a human being, I'm a human being. And look at me now, I'm 30. My dad's like older than me, but we're on the same level now. We're both adult human beings who stand on their own 2 feet. And so that's what the Bible's talking about there. It's saying, like when Jesus said, ye are small gods, that's what he was referring to. And the Jews went nuts. They went utterly bonkers when he spoke about them being small gods. Which is a bit strange, because it's a bit like me saying to you, oh, you're incredibly beautiful, and you're like, oh, fuck off, mate, and slapping me around for it. Like most people react to compliments a bit differently. They try stoning him, saying that. It's also what Jesus was saying when he said to people, your sins are forgiven you. You know, the Son of Man can forgive sins. The Jews believed only God could forgive sins. So what Jesus was saying is that a man was God, because man can also forgive sins. It's why the Jews got angry and muttered amongst themselves when they, in Mark, they put the cripple through the roof. And Jesus says to him, your sins are forgiven you. And the Jews go a bit nuts, and then he turns around and he goes, what's easier to say, right? Your sins are forgiven you, or get up and walk. So he said, just to show you that the Son of Man has the power to forgive sin. I'm the Son of Man, you're the Son of Man. I say to you, get up and walk. And the guy got up and walked and went. And that was the function of a lot of the kind of public miracles that Jesus did. It was to show our identity with God. You don't need to do miracles to show that. So, I mean, another analogy the Bible uses is a seed, you know. It calls us a seed. And in the most explicit statement of the gospel, which is in Corinthians, it says that, you know, unless you bury a seed in the ground and it dies, it doesn't grow and bear fruit. And he says that we die a living soul and we arise quickening spirits. And it says God is a spirit, and quickening just means life-giving. So there's this one interpretation, it's called universal reconciliation, and one interpretation within that kind of camp. Universal reconciliation is the idea that everything's going to be reconciled to God, and God's going to save everybody, and that's basically fuck all anybody can do about it. So it's basically saying that when we die, God will resurrect us as God, you know? And he does all things for his own glory, and the most glorious thing God could do is create the most perfect thing. And according to Christianity, God's the most perfect thing, so he creates himself. Again, maybe. But most Christians miss out on this. You go to church and you're expecting to hear this awesome stuff, and it's mundane. They go, be a good boy and get more people to come. Nonsense. It's just empty. And yet they're speaking the most beautiful things all the time, if only they knew it. It's not my job to convince them. I tried doing that. I went to church once when I was feeling a bit more, when I had to go through my spiritual experience, and they were all there trying to cast this demon out of me, and I was in front. All these people had their hands on me. The whole hall was shouting. I was loving it. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm wow egotistical, self-obsessed me. Part of my problem, I suppose, but rather than keep it in the grotty dark, bring it out in the open. It'll either stop or it won't, but it's better out in the open than in the grotty dark. In my opinion, that's what I'm doing, just describing that. You don't have to, it's up to you what you do. Yeah, but that's why they kept getting annoyed at Jesus for doing the miracles. I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense otherwise. What, this guy's saved somebody and made him better than he was. Are you really going to be annoyed about that as a Pharisee or Sadducee? No, it's because you're undermining their authority. You were saying that we're so close to God, so close, that we don't need a priest-laity divide, we don't need a priestly order. It's just there, available. Oh, look, around, totally permissive. Goodbye.